Well, I mean, it's early days yet. I mean, what we would be anxious is to protect expenditure, for example, in issues like food security, agriculture, food production, investment in research and the Horizon programs. So there's a lot of valuable expenditure already in the context of the multi-financial framework. So these are very substantive issues that remain to be resolved, and there's significant timelines to that. In other words, that's not something that will, I think, emerge today. It will be some time before those issues are clarified or sorted. I've always been of the view, as I was during COVID when I was Taoiseach, that was the first major collective response in terms of financing, if you like, Europe collectively issuing debt and collectively working together to try and pump prime the economy in the midst of COVID, which worked overall. So in principle, we're open to different types of proposals that would emerge, but I think that's some distance down the road, and I think other countries have big, strong views on that as well.
Peter, just on the Dáil speaking row.
Sorry?
Just on the Dáil speaking row. I mean, it seems now that the members of the regional independence group will have kind of one foot in and one foot out in terms of their being considered opposition, but then voting with government on, I suppose, a case-by-case basis. But their support is baked in. Does it not really kind of complicate things and make a bit of a mockery of the dividing line between government as opposition?
I'd be somewhat surprised by the view that has been articulated by some opposition. And I spoke to some leaders last night. I spoke to Ivana Bacik and Keane as well. And there are fundamental principles here. I mean, since 1932, opposition TDs have been supporting governments in one shape or form. That's the reality, and I'm surprised that. And I get to, if you look at it on the surface, you say opposition or government, but actually, there are two issues here. One, the obligation of a Dáil to form a government, and that will be previous Dáils have to do it, future Dáil will have to do it. So we have to accept one basic principle: groups have a right to form. No political party can tell another group you can't form a group. Groups are entitled to form. It's a basic principle of freedom of association within the Parliament, within the Dáil itself. And I'm worried about the Sinn Féin approach that it's either this or nothing. And Sinn Féin saying you can form a group. I mean, no one ever said that the late Tony Gregory was a member of government, even though he supported the government at the time. Fianna Fáil confidence and supply arrangement with Fine Gael. We negotiated some of that programme for government, and we also negotiated budgets. We said the budgets had to be 2-1 for Fianna Fáil to facilitate the continuation of that government during Brexit. Now, people would say it was good that we had a government that was stable during the Brexit crisis, given the impact on Ireland. And no one said we should lose our rights. And what I'm saying, in the next Dáil, for example, if we were short 4 or 5 TDs, why would 4 or 5 opposition TDs surrender all their rights in order to facilitate the formation of a government? So there's a balance there to be worked out. It's not as black and white as has been articulated by some commentators and by the opposition. And personalities have got in the middle of all of this, but there are more fundamental principles here. And I don't necessarily agree, and I'm not going to be browbeaten into unearthing or upending those particular principles. I want a resolution to this. We're willing to negotiate a resolution to this, but it's not on a kind of sort of the black and white approach that's been adopted by Sinn Féin.
And just on the housing figures as well, very, very briefly, obviously they're a lot lower than the government had hoped. What do you feel is behind that? And
I'm very disappointed by this. What's behind it is the lack of apartment building. We have a real issue there. I think the Housing Commission did have fairly substantive things to say about the rental market and the manner in which government and Oireachtas interfered, or what I think, if I recall the language correctly, took a reactive approach to the rental market. I think we have to really look at all of that again. We fundamentally have to look at how we can bring more investment back into the rental market, and that's going to be key, because that clearly is a clear shortfall. The state is the biggest investor in housing at the moment, without question, and we have to get stronger private sector investment in, particularly in on the apartment side. Yeah. Okay.
Sir, just one question about Palestine. Mr. Trump asking to get the Palestinians out of Palestine. What do you think about this?
No, I think Ireland believes in a two-state solution, and we, along with the European Union, we believe now that we should focus on making this ceasefire permanent, and then really doing everything we can to get to focus on reconstruction and humanitarian aid, including supporting UNRWA, the World Food Programme, because the people of Gaza have suffered enough. Thank you very much, Uday.